Welcome to the 90 Days Roadmap to CCXP. My name is Mohamed Latib. I am the CEO and founder of CX University, and I come to you with significant experience in the discipline of customer experience. I've been practicing this discipline for well over 30 years, and I was among the few in the beginning of this evolution of customer experience that actually developed proprietary software platforms when I co-founded a technology company that allowed us to be able to engage global brands for harnessing feedback to help improve their capacity to be able to engage with customers in a manner that leads to the kinds of outcomes that the discipline offers us. So I come with a lot of experience. But before we talk about individuals that are going to be part of this journey, let me give you a broad overview of CX University that you may or may not be aware of. So let me share with you what we're about, who we are. CX University was founded after I exited both the academic world. I also exited the technology company that I co-founded and founded CX University because I had identified, based on my own assessment of the space that we're in, that there was a great need for individuals to understand what the discipline is about. What does it mean to be part of the customer experience space? And having identified that gap, at least from my perspective, I then decided to develop a program that allows us to plug that gap. And it all began with me being as one of the founding members of CXPA. CXPA was founded in 2011, and I was one of the founding members, participating in the very first conference that was held in Boston. And a couple of years later, CXPA came up with a rubric that defined the discipline in terms of capabilities, knowledge, skills, whatever it is that constituted this new discipline that, as many of you know, has evolved only in the last decade or so, and is increasingly becoming more and more robust. We are very delighted to share with you that we've served quite a few people across the globe. We've trained a substantial number of people in various ways, either through our self-paced online programs or custom designed workshops or custom designed interactive modules that allowed us to be able to deliver information and knowledge and eventually expertise that is useful to individuals as well as companies. And we've had a number of companies, and I'm only showing you a sample set here of companies that have participated in our programs. We've taken teams of people from these various companies. And again, this is just a sample list that let their teams come to us for an education in the discipline of customer experience. Of course, having said what I said about being a founding member and CXPA's rubric, we of course went with our curriculum to CXPA and asked them to look at it, review it, and they did look at our curriculum and gave us an endorsement that recognizes us as a training provider, and you will see us listed on the CXPA website. But beyond CXPA, we have of course evolved the discipline and have been able to develop multiple products that we now make available to our clients. And we have an academic program in customer experience that was recognized by an accredited institution of higher education, Moravian University, which recognizes our program, and anyone that completes the academic program with us and receives the customer experience certificate, which is what all of you are about to embark upon, and that is to, in the end, receive the customer experience specialist certificate, followed by CCXP, which we'll talk about more in just a moment. Moravian University acknowledged and recognized our program, and in fact have said that anybody that finishes our program and receives the CXS certificate would be entitled to 6 MBA course credits or 6 MHA, Masters in Health Administration course credits that can be received from Moravian University and transferred to other institutions of higher education anywhere in the United States. And I dare say in many cases, it would also be accepted in institutions around the world. But that's something that you have to determine, you meaning not the folks that are in this room, because you're not here for an academic program. This is simply to establish our credentials and to share with you that we have been vetted very well. Now, when we are recognized by Moravian University, you must also understand that we're also subject to a review and a critique by accrediting bodies in the United States. And so the accrediting body that has recognized Moravian University indirectly also ensures that we comply with all the standards that are expected for a rigorous education. I won't say any more on this. Let's proceed with conventional wisdom and introduce the parties that you're going to meet in this journey that you're about to embark upon with us. So I've said a little bit about myself, and I don't need to say any more. And I don't know if Anne is with us. Anne, are you with us, or are you unable to attend? I didn't see your names. Anne is presently pursuing her doctoral studies at Cornell University, so she may not be with us today. But you will meet Sue Metlin, who is one of the co-faculty facilitators for this program. And I'll invite Sue to say a few words about her.
Thank you, Mohamed. Anne is going to be joining us a little bit late. She's in a meeting right now. Hi, everyone. I'm Sue Metlin. I'm the Chief Learning Officer for the university, and my job is to make sure that you have a very smooth learning journey. When you need help, I'm the person you can go to 7 days a week. My background, I've been a college dean and a professor, and also a chief information officer. So my focus has always been in making sure that students succeed.
Thank you, Sue. And you should know that Sue is really an expert in adult learning, just by way of adding another feather in her cap. Jean, would you like to take 30 seconds to introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm Jean Karafee. I'm the Director of Sales. And like Sue and Mohamed, we're all here to make sure that if you choose to journey with us in the cohort that starts in January, I'm here to help answer any questions, help with payment issues, whatever it is. You know, our goal is to make sure that if you choose to take the course that you are successful. So hopefully you'll join us.
Thank you, Jean. And now I'd like to introduce you to two people, one of whom is currently in a 90-day roadmap program from Nairobi, and that's Lucy, and a gentleman, James, who completed our program, and they both have graciously agreed to take a little bit of airtime and tell you a little bit about their experience. So let's invite Lucy. Could you take airtime and say something to this wonderful group we've gathered here today?
Thank you, Mohamed, and greetings, everyone. Very excited that during the last open house session that we had, you know, I wasn't so sure when I was going to join in the cohort one, but I can see that together with Lillian, who is also logged in, and a few others, we have been taking this journey. We're almost halfway through. It's been quite an exciting journey. You know, sometimes you think you know, until you start learning, and then you realize there's still so much to learn. And one of the things that we often look forward to is the 1.5 hour session we have via Zoom. We meet every 2 weeks, and Sue and Anne often are there to walk us through the sessions in a bit more details, and even to prepare for the CXP exams, as well as the CCXP certification. One of the things I have always known in my customer experience journey is that the pass rate, by the way, for the CCXP seems to be very, very low. And I think by now I can already see why, you know, because if you just jump in and want to take the certification, so those questions, you know, they all look like trick questions, you know, every question after question, and they are multiple choice questions, you know. We usually have very interesting discussions because there are questions where everybody is thinking differently, but when we look at the argument behind why the answer is as given, you know, we are able then to see that we need a deeper understanding of all aspects of customer experience, and especially those that CCXP does test on, and it's really everything. just yesterday we have having a session on change management, you know. And I think what really encouraged me is listening into Sue saying, you know what, the voice of the customer. Was it Sue or Anne, you know, that the voice of the customer is at the center of transformation that most of us should try and push within our organizations. And even looking at case studies of organizations that have been able to use the voice of the customer, and they have been able to see transformation happening within their organizations. For those that are planning to join into Cohort 2, I would encourage you to put some time aside, because yes, the course does require you to invest some time so that you can be able to go through the material. Yeah, so it's quite comprehensive. It almost feels like an MBA in customer experience, and I do hope that we'll be able to have not just many professionals in Kenya, but even beyond Kenya. I think we had invited someone from Rwanda today. I don't know whether he was able to join in. I'll confirm that. Yeah, but I'm sure that with time, we'll start seeing organizations looking for customer, chief customer officers with a CCXP certification. And therefore would like to encourage as many of you who are professionals practicing to consider signing up, so that at least we can be part of a community that is even keen on growing our knowledge and understanding of customer experience. So thank you, Mohamed. And when James posted in our group about CX University, I jumped in with my both feet. So it's been a very, very exciting journey, and I do believe that
kandi umubiri wanjye uzagira amahoro Imana.
Somebody needs to be muted. Okay. Yeah, so saying I jumped in with my both feet, but because I'm a key believer that a lot of organizations have not even scratched the surface on matters customer experience. And if we grow a very strong community that believes in customer experience and that has the knowledge and understanding that is needed to get the organizations to the next level, then we'll be able to make organizations appreciate the profession. Yeah, thanks, Mohamed. Back to you.
Thank you, Lucy. And we are delighted that you're part of this journey with us. And we appreciate your thoughts that you've shared with this group. Thank you for that. Let me then turn over to James, who is our first CXS in Kenya. James, you've got some airtime to share your reflections with the group. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. It's a great pleasure to really get to see the presence of all of you who've heeded to the call of curiosity along certification of customer experience. I previously had mentioned this as I started in the first cohort and even prior. For me, the journey of certification has been a labor of love. The interest in terms of seeking certification has been really long coming, and I thank God also it's come to fruition. There was a lot of interest in terms of looking at how is it that within the industry that I'm in, the region that I'm in, that I'm able to get certification. I'm sure for all of us here in Kenya, you'll appreciate that, for example, in the likes of the trades of accountants, they have CPAs, certification that they seek. Lawyers go to School of Law. And so even myself within, as a professional in customer experience, I felt that was missing. Secondly, is that the beauty about certification is that you're able to calibrate, and I'm sure yourself, against certain standards. And you're able to benchmark the level of knowledge out there across the industry. And so I started researching quite a lot. And I have to be honest that there are many, or there are other channels that one can seek for certification. But I think in that labor of love of seeking for certification, I also really critiqued each available channel for certification that there was. And something that was very unique, even within my research at the time, was in terms of the credibility that I found for CX University. One, looking at, and I'm sure you've heard even the introductions of the team, we have a very credible team in terms of people who are professionals in the field and who are subject matter experts, have been there and certainly driving customer experience in their own great ways. Secondly, it was also looking at the people who have gone through CX University and who are quite popular also within the CX field. For any one of you who's in Twitter, because I find that also a very rich channel where contacts of customer experience are, you'll find so many greats who have followed the path of CX University. And lastly, after I signed up, is to see the rich content that was there. Now, I want to also spend a minute and talk about this specific package of the 90-day program. While I found, yes, that there were other options where one could sign up and individually take the course, the 90-day CCXP journey program was absolutely brilliant because you bring together a cohort of like-minded interested people who then sign up, and week on week there are certain milestones that you go through or that we went through. Further was a lot of discussion every week along what we studied, and that experience was so rich and so enrichful that even after the cohort we have been able to keep in touch and share best practice. I think I have to say, within all other professions, the CX community is extremely generous in terms of sharing that information and best practice. Within our industry here, or within our region, sorry, here in Kenya, I found an opportunity, or I see a gap where that certification is not very present, or is not as formalized as should be. While we have the talent, all these people who are in this Zoom call are very talented people in customer experience. But one thing we lack is credible accreditation in CX. I would like to share that I have a lot of confidence having gone through this program, and I'll encourage you to also sign up. I'm really, really grateful for, in fact, this time round, and the cohort that is already going through, that a special offering has been provided by CX University. And I'm sure that is going to be elaborated a bit further in terms of what usually it costs and what now for our Kenyan cohort it's been offered for. I would strongly encourage you to join the cohort. I was fortunate today to be in some interviews, and one of the candidates that I was interviewing was actually somebody who was considering also to come to CX University, and through their own research was being able to bring out some aspects about accreditation. And it only tells you of the opportunity that is there. There's a growing community. There's already a cohort that is ongoing. I would encourage that. Let us be more, and such that also when we meet and engage and impact customer experience in our region, we are coming from a point that we cannot be questioned in terms of our soundness when it comes to customer experience. So I would like to leave it at that, but also thank Jane, thank Sue, thank you, Mohamed, for hosting us and really taking your time to even further elaborate to this specific group in terms of what this program is all about. And I really have to thank you also for having gone through the program myself. I hear great feedback also from the existing first cohort. And I'm only excited that many more people can be able to continue getting certified within this program. I am more than certain that in the short run, I'll be sitting with other CXS certified people and CCXPs in Kenya, having gone through this program. Thank you very much. And once again, I really commend everyone for taking the time to be here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, James, for those words. And thank you, Lucy, for your observations. And let me make it very clear that our goal really is to see how we can inform you, educate you, give you the knowledge that you would need to be able to develop a level of confidence that allows you to be able to very easily pass our certification exam and then subsequently proceed to seek the CCXP from CXPA. I will tell you very clearly at the outset that we have nothing to do with the CCXP exam. It's totally independent. It's managed entirely by CXPA. All we do is prepare candidates to successfully get through what is considered a fairly strenuous exam. What I will tell you too is that those of our people, our students that have gone through our certification exams and went on and did the CCXP, gave us feedback saying the CXS was a much more difficult and challenging exam to get through. So I invite you to reflect on that. I also want to share a personal story with all of you. For me, it's particularly gratifying that we have planted a flag in Nairobi, in Kenya, and hopefully take over the entire region as a brand that is a preferred destination for anyone interested in CX. And that's because I've been to Nairobi. I was in Nairobi as a 13-year-old boy. In fact, I was in Nairobi many, many, many decades ago and enjoyed myself in the city by myself. I can remember, I even shared this with James and Lucy previously, that I stayed at the Stanley Copley Hotel, which I understand is still in operation. At that time, it was the hotel to go to. And I cannot wait for the opportunity to return to Nairobi, especially if we can get a second cohort underway. Sometimes in the early part of next year, I'll come visit so we can meet each other and take advantage of this enormous opportunity to establish relationships, not just with the Kenyan community, but I hope with the larger global community. So let's move on to the nitty-gritty stuff. So what is it that you're about to journey through? Well, you're going to journey on a 90-day program, as is obvious by the title that we have shared. This journey is packed with a lot of components. Let's look at each of those components so you have a sense of what that path is going to look like for you. Well, first of all, remember this is a blended program, which means it's a combination of self-paced online courses coupled with faculty facilitation. I'll give you the details of the 6 online courses, but I want you to know at the outset that those 6 courses reflect the current latest rubric that was just issued a couple of months ago by CXPA. I'll give you more details about that in just a moment, but to know that you have 6 courses to take that covers the now 5 new domains of knowledge that CXPA has presented to the world. More details on that in just a moment. We have a test bank of hundreds of exam prep questions, and that's also part of the package. You can actually have at the end of the program a test package that invites you to continue to check your knowledge, to test whether you have internalized the information. Of course, before you get to that entire test package, there's a test package of additional questions that go beyond the 6 courses. At the end of each of the 6 courses, there'll be a knowledge test at the end of each of the 6 courses, and you'll get a chance to take that over and over again to check out whether or not you've understood, whether you need to go back and review the content. Each 2-week period ends with a post-course review. You get 2 weeks to take a course, complete a course at your own pace, and at the end of 2 weeks, you will meet with Sue and Ann, our 2 faculty members, for post-course reviews. Now, what are these reviews? These reviews are not a regurgitation of anything you've read It is really an augmentation. You'll get additional content. There'll be additional examples, case studies, references to best practices. You will go through testing and try and understand strategies for test taking. How do you interpret questions? You'll go through a fairly robust set of questions that'll trigger your own understanding in ways that you might not have previously adopted. We also have a Slack channel at the same time. You will also meet with your colleagues. This is an open-ended office hour time period when you will meet with Sue and you'll meet with Anne. If you have any questions, this is a chance for everyone to come together in an informal sort of environment and be able to exchange ideas, be able to actually ideate, test thoughts, check to see what other people are doing. This is where we create a learning community, both in the Slack channel as well as in the post-course reviews. And I looked at, for instance, all of you that have registered and are present here today. I saw your backgrounds, and it's such an impressive group of people. Just imagine for a moment, the collective wisdom and experience that resides in everyone that is currently present here in this open house. I looked at your titles, I looked at your backgrounds, I looked at the companies you represent, and it just offers us such a rich mosaic to learn. And I cannot tell you, as someone who was trained as a psychologist and then got my PhD in strategy and organizational behavior, to tell you how incredibly gratifying it is when any human being advances his or her knowledge and builds a toolkit that becomes relevant and applicable. When you get done with all these reviews and you get done with the self-paced course, you will be sitting for the Customer Experience Specialist Certification exam. That becomes available to you once you've completed the program. And Sue is the person who will be in touch with you. Sue will let you know when you're ready to take it. Not when you're ready to take it, she'll make it available to you. Typically, you'll be ready to take it at the end of the 6 courses that you will have completed with us. And it doesn't end there. At the end of the 6 courses, at the end of the post-course reviews, when you feel comfortable and you're ready to take the CXS, you can take the CXS, and we are very confident you will pass it. You will still have access to all the content, all the additional test bank questions, so that you can come back and practice and review as you get ready to take the CCXP, which, as I've said to you earlier, we have nothing to do with it. It's an independent exam offered by CXPA, and you will have to qualify independently and have them approve you to take the exam. We are very confident that when you go through this journey, when you take this path with us, you will be more than adequately prepared. I should also say to you, please take note of that code that's in parentheses at the bottom. It's the RTP Student 2021. Use that code for membership to CXPA. And once you become a member of CXPA with that discounted code, you then get the member pricing for the certification exam. So let me, if I may, I actually should have skipped. Let me skip a slide. I'm going to come back to this in just a moment. Let me go right to the online series of courses that you need to complete. As I said, CXPA just issued a new definition of their domains of knowledge that identified in those 5 bullets that you see there. We have rendered these 5 bullets in 6 courses. And you will see that the 5th bullet that you're looking at, their culture and accountability. We have 2 courses that covers the terrain of building a customer-centric culture and establishing a governance system in your organization. So these are the 6 courses. I'm not going to go through them in detail. Many of you might have already seen it in the download documents that you must have received or downloaded. But you get a sense of the domains of knowledge that we're going to be addressing in this journey with you. Let me go back one slide. Because I want to show you this additional segment that I skipped over so that you have some sense of what the properties of the program look like. So once you're in the online segment of this program, you will encounter in all of the online courses narratives. There'll be material, text material that invites you to read about concepts, best practices. You'll have case examples. We have supplementary videos that reinforces or augments a particular concept or practice. You will read some articles. We have rendered some of our lessons into interactive modality. So we have e-modules. You can even be playing games. You could be participating in tournaments. You get practical tips. You'll be invited to reflect, if not in writing, certainly when you meet with Sue and Anne in post-course review sessions. And as I already mentioned, you'll have this comprehensive test package that will be available to you. And the kickoff for this program for this particular cohort number 2 is January 6th of 2022. Once you're kicked off January 6th, 2022, your last review session, we still have someone entering the room, so pardon me. The last review session, post-course review session, would be March 31st, 2022. But as I noted earlier, instead of just being able to have access for 90 days, you get an additional 90 days to come back, to look at the content, to review, and ensure that when you walk in to take any test, you'll be pretty confident. But we want you to go beyond just confidence in taking a test. What we really want is to have you experience a paradigm shift. We want you to walk out as an expert. We want you to be able to go into the world of work that you are part of and make an impact. We hope that you would actually become an advocate of this incredibly new phenomena we call customer experience. In fact, I would submit to you, I was a professor of business. I was a dean of a business school. I've been a vice president and I've run MBA programs around the entire world. I can only say to you that the engagement you have with content that is relevant and practical has infinite value. All right, I'm done with sitting on my pedestal touting how good CX University is in terms of its content, in terms of its structure. And you know, we're like customer experience professionals ourselves. We practice what we preach. We want this to be a seamless, rich experience for you. I'll tell you more about that because I will invite you to challenge us in just a moment. So I already covered this slide. Let me end with our promise. Our promise is to make this as seamless a journey for you as possible. We want to make it easy, not easy in terms of content, but easy in terms of flow. We don't want you to have friction while you're navigating through this knowledge terrain that we're presenting you. So we will be there holding your hand. We'll make sure that you do not experience any hiccups. And I will tell you unequivocally that if we find that any of you are lagging behind, because we can observe your digital behavior, there's nothing secretive about this. Once you're in our learning management system, we'll know what progress you're making. And Sue will send you email messages encouraging you to get back on track, reminding you that we have a review session in 3 days. You haven't finished half the material. We encourage you to finish it so you can be prepared to participate in what would be a rich exchange of ideas and knowledge and whatever else you want to test in that environment with your colleagues. And we want you to challenge us. When I say you're going to have a rich customer experience, challenge us, test us, see what happens. I will tell you, we've given 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you'll get a response from one member or the other of the CXU team, even on weekends. I will tell you, I kid around with this quite a bit with Sue, because Sue hardly sleeps. I mean, I get email messages from Sue at 2:30 in the morning, at 3:45 a.m., at 11 p.m. at night. Don't be surprised that you will hear from Sue at the craziest hours in the 24-hour cycle. And you know what? Test us, check us out, and see if we've missed the support system in any way, if there's any gap. And we look for feedback because we always look for feedback to improve, which is what our discipline calls for, isn't it? And ultimately, if you walked away saying, I learned being part of CX University and I feel better for it, That to us would be the ultimate gratification that we could get back from anyone that participates in our program. Now, many of you know that what the Net Promoter Score is, and we decided, because of its simplicity and it gives us kind of a sense of how we're doing, we capture feedback from our customers in the form of the NPS metric. And I will tell you, by any standards, an NPS of plus 81 is world-class. It's impressive. Now, we don't just look at the numbers. We, of course, also look at the written commentary that we get back. And I can tell you the written commentary is rich. It reinforces the numbers, and it makes us feel good that we're doing the right thing. And by the way, when I say we're doing the right thing, we don't end there. One of the things that we have committed to is continuous refreshing. Our content will not get stale. We have a commitment annually to really take a good look at our curriculum, take a good look at what's happening in the world of CX, and pull those new threads right into our program. So if any of you come back 3 months after you've completed your CXS and want to go back and do some reviews after the fact, don't be surprised if you find material there that you hadn't seen before, because of our commitment to make sure that the content is always fresh. Okay, so with that, let me invite you to participate in this conversation. This is your time to ask any question you want, and we would welcome it. And I would encourage you to ask questions because, frankly, one of you asks questions, a lot of your colleagues will say, oh, I'm glad that question was asked. It benefits everybody. So let me go back to James's observation earlier about pricing. I think it should be fairly clear that you're going to enjoy a private channel for enrollment with us. If you go to our website, the 90-day program is available for $1,395 a seat. We have embarked on this venture recognizing that if we are going to plant our flag and anchor it in the East African region, that we ought to make it financially attractive. So the special pricing we have for the Kenya cohort is $750 a seat. No one else can purchase it at that price except those of you who are part of this Kenyan group that we're talking to today. And anyone outside that's not here but must be from Kenya. It's a special pricing model just for our Kenyan colleagues, so that you know what the investment's going to be like.
Mohamed, I see there is a question from Stella on the chat panel.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was not looking at the chat. Yes, Stella, thanks for the insight. When's the next? Oh, Stella, we are ready to enroll you today, but we start January 6th. So it's not like, group intake or anything like that. It's whenever you're ready, just come in with the link that you've been given and just register, make your payment on the website. Is that right, Sue? Are they making payment directly through the website?
They are, and if they have trouble with that, they can talk to Jean.
To Jean, yes.
I had read the question as, is there a session, is there a cohort after January?
After. Oh, thank you for that, Sue. Yes, we will have
correct. Hello.
Yes.
That's what
yes.
I meant. That's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Stella, the answer is yes. We just don't know when yet.
Okay.
We will certainly have another cohort. Of course, remember, all these cohorts are a function of interest, but yes, our intent is to offer, to the extent that's possible, we want to offer, start a Kenyan cohort every month.
Okay, thank you.
And I
Sure.
noticed that Mary is asking about healthcare and insurance. We actually offer a specialized program for those that are in the healthcare field, where you can earn a patient experience certification. Many executives in healthcare and insurance go ahead and do the PX version, but many, depending on what their job is, also feel very comfortable in the CX version.
And to continue along that theme and the response to you, Mary, is also to know that in the program, you will get case examples that could come from across industry sectors. Insurance examples are there, as would be financials and technology companies. So it's the whole spectrum of industries, because as far as we are concerned, the discipline is applicable across industry boundaries with some variation. As Sue noted, we have actually created a subsidiary of CX University called the Patient Experience Academy, where we offer patient experience specialist certification training and eventually to get certified as a patient experience specialist. So the answer to your question is yes, simply yes. Is it, the next question is from Rosemary.
Thank you for that.
I'm sorry, Mary, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did actually. Thank you for that. That was really insightful. I'll be reaching out to hear more about the PX Academy.
Sure, and just go to pxacademy.com and you'll get all the information you need
Fantastic.
there. Sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome indeed. And let me go back. Stella, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So Rosemary, the structured component of the 90-day journey ends at the 90-day mark. That's the structured piece where you have formal engagement with our 2 faculty members, where you meet every 2 weeks or in between when you're having Slack channel hours. So it's really a structured 90-day program, but remember this program can carry over for another 90 days because we give you access. That becomes your program. You do whatever you want after 90 days. And you can still interact with us, by the way. If day 120, you encountered something and you had an idea and you wanted to bounce it off, you can reach out to any one of us at CX University and respond to you. Does that answer your question, Rosemary? And if you're talking to yourself, I hope you're enjoying it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you for all those questions. Please don't hesitate to either ask through audio or text in the panel, and we'll respond to that. Thank you so much.
Mohamed, were there some questions that had been asked as the registrations were happening that maybe you could have a look and see if we could answer them?
I'm sorry, James, say that last piece again.
As individuals who are registering for this Zoom session, there was a part for putting in any question that one might have. Are there any questions on that maybe you might not have answered that you could go through to check and maybe address to the team?
Well, I am navigating through the chat panel, and I think we've answered everyone's question. There aren't any more questions there. For those of you, by the way, that came in late and didn't hear the early part of our presentation, this is being recorded, and all of you will get a copy of the recording if you want to review it and find out more, or at least get a reinforcement of stuff I've already shared with you. So we will send you a link to the recording so that you can review it at your leisure.
And we'll also send you a copy of the slides so you can refresh your memory on what was discussed. And if you've got any questions, I'll make sure you've got my email.
Hi, Mohamed. I think I had mentioned that we had 2 guests that are attending this from Rwanda, and probably that's something that we can be able to take offline in terms of them having an interest in having the first cohort in Rwanda. So you probably can go ahead and acknowledge them, and I'm sure that they'll be soon putting together the first cohort for Rwanda. And I think that's exciting. Yeah.
That is very exciting. That is exciting. Lucy, are the Rwandan guests here with us today?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They don't need to say anything for today, but yes, they are. They decided to come and listen in to what's happening in Kenya. We are good neighbors.
Yeah, of course. Well, we would be absolutely delighted to, have a flag in Rwanda too. I mean, it's part of that region, right? For us, this is very exciting. I mean, our goal is really to be able to, advance our systems all across Africa to get up to being a player on a flat surface. We want to be able to play as equals. We want to participate as equals. And the only way I know how we can do that is to ensure that we have competent people out there doing the stuff that should be done. And so we're very excited. So we welcome the Rwanda geography. I will tell you that you're on the eastern region of Africa. On the western side, we're hoping to really launch something very soon in Nigeria. And we're also in conversations with people in South Africa. But Kenya obviously has taken the lead. We have been trying to engage in different regions of the world, and we're just so delighted that we've been able to undertake this journey with our Kenyan colleagues. And I should mention that we're terribly, terribly grateful to both James and Lucy for being supportive of our ambition to create a wave that leads to transformation of our businesses and our communities. Remember, the discipline doesn't just apply to businesses. The discipline applies to our communities. Think about it. Some of the basic stuff in customer experience is just human. It's even at the level of our interactions with our family members and friends. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? Building relationships, touching the heart, influencing the mind, and seeing behavior that comes from the congruence between what one feels and what one thinks. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? We thank you for participating. We thank you for joining us. And we look forward to journeying together on this path to our respective professional development.